With the replication complete, we start with the pacemaker setup. For simplicity, I have grouped independent packages required in this section. These packages come from high availability and SAP HANA specific ISO image released by Red Hat. Given that we started with a minimal operating system installation, dependent OS packages will also be installed. Let's start the SAP HANA configuration for Pacemaker. We start the PCSD daemon and set the password for HA cluster user installed or created during the package's installation. We saw earlier, once the user password is created, we create an authorization between both the hosts using the HA cluster user. We now find out the port used by High Availability Management Console GUI and connect to the console URL. We log in as HA cluster user and provide the password we configured earlier and start the process for creating new cluster. On the Create Cluster screen, the name of the cluster is provided along with the participating nodes. Finally, complete the process by creating and starting the cluster. Notice it takes some time before the GUI is refreshed and the resources are displayed with correct state. The Python handlers installed as part of resource agent package installation are added under HADR provider SAP HANA SR section of global.ini as shown here. Similar change is also made to the global.ini on the secondary site. On the secondary node, we confirm that the SAP processes are running as expected and we stop them using HDB stop command. We go back to the primary cluster, the primary node, and also confirm and stop the HANA processes. We now proceed with sudo configuration to create the command aliases for the handler section that we added in the global.ini. The change is made on both systems and the HTTP daemon is started, which will start the HANA processes. We confirm the handler working by going into the trace folder, filtering the HADR handler from all the name server trace files. Next, we proceed to create topology resource for cluster configuration. The configuration created for the resource can be checked using PCS cluster config command. We then proceed to create the controller resource and constraints for the resources we have added. The co-location constraint being created forces the virtual IP address to be present on the primary node only. Finally, we proceed to create the virtual IP resource itself. We will use the same IP address going forward, ensuring we will always connect to the primary node in the cluster. It's time now to create heartbeat configuration using the only common storage device attached to both nodes. The heartbeat configuration is created using SBD command. The SBD stands for Stoinit block device. Stoinit stands for shoot the other node in the head, a common term used in cluster configuration to prevent split brain situation when the heartbeat fails. Once the device is initialized, we use a software watchdog module to monitor the heartbeat. By default, the kernel does not load the watchdog module, so it is loaded using modprobe command. And to ensure the persistence across reboot, a module configuration is also created. Next, we update the SBD configuration file SBD from etc sysconfig with heartbeat device name and required options, finally enabling the SBD service. Running the PCS status command now lists all the active daemons. The SBD service is still shown as inactive. This will be made active when the daemon is started on the secondary system. Upon stopping the cluster from the secondary node, we execute part-probe command to reread all the partitions and the devices. We do not create the device, the SBD device in this case, but we just find it back. We just dump the information. We still perform the software watchdog related configuration on the secondary system so that the device is made active across the reboots. Upon starting the cluster services from primary node, and getting the status using the PCS command, we now see the SBD device active or SBD daemon active on both nodes. We now go back to the GUI management console, and on the management console we see all the resources and the constraints we have created so far. Upon drilling down the cluster, all the required nodes and the node related configuration is also displayed. A quick look at the VIP configuration shows the virtual IP address we have defined for the cluster. We'll be using this IP address going forward for the cluster communication. The rest of the tabs list the other cluster configuration details which are not included as part of this demonstration. I hope this video series has given you sufficient information to understand an end-to-end view of entire architecture stack. Thank you for your time.